become an expert.
Kind of not expert, Fatmaja. So here we are setting up the meeting live. Yes, I think another fraction of second and we go. Oh, yes, we are there. Sorry, I don't know. What happened?
You are live. I can see that you're live, and
Is it? But I can't see the window.
no, I can see because it's showing me you're live on.
1 second. Yes, true. Yes, we are live. True. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think we are on the last layer of 2021, and this is a special episode for me because when we started Positivity Pill series, it was definitely Padmaja Iyer, my first and my foremost guest, and I have this privilege to introduce her once again to you. So I'm more than happy to see some of the most common faces who are participants who are so dear and near to us. Because as I mentioned to you, without you guys, I don't think Positivity Pill series would have become a success. Thank you so much for keeping faith and being here, supporting this cause. Truly obliged and truly in deep gratitude to each one of you. Give me a second to introduce to you our guest speaker for the day. Request everybody to put yourself on mute. So Padmaja is a therapist motivated with strong sense of purpose. She seeks to use her 20 plus years of experience in the field of therapy and personal healing to provide you with an intimate yet fresh approach to life. One that promises to open you to readily available source of happiness, contentment, and empathy. Padmaja has tried to go beyond the role of a typical therapist. For her, conversations hold the power to transform lives, and she makes sure that she's able to connect with the core of your being in order to understand your beliefs, ideas, and needs. In each session, she makes sure to move away from the one-sided give and take dynamic that usually exists between a therapist and a client. She sees herself as both a teacher and a student, as a giver and a taker, and above all, as a fellow human who values the common humanity that animates her and you. She believes that each human has immense inner potential to figure out their own life path, seeing herself simply as a guide through which this potential can be realized. Through various techniques, exercises, and simple lifestyle changes, Padmaja will empower you to experience life as it unfurls, as to live on your own terms. In this process, Padmaja tries to bring a change in how you perceive things that happens around you and makes the best out of all that life may throw at you. She's trained in various holistic modalities of healing. Can you mute yourself, please? Yeah. So she's trained in various holistic modalities of healing and therapy under the luminaries, including Dr. Newton, Kondaveti, and Dr. Lakshmi, pioneers of past life regression in modern India, Dr. Sumant Kant Kaul, late Leonard, or Nitya Shanti, the globally acclaimed ambassador for conscious living. She's a certified therapist and a gold medalist in past life regression therapy, inner child work, certified rebirthing breathwork professional by Rebirthing Breathwork International, and a certified theta healer. From the Think Institute USA, among various other modalities. Her long career straddles the fields of both corporate and personal therapy. Padmaja has provided sessions with visible results to not just working professionals and company heads, but also to elderly people, family members, school kids, underprivileged children, teachers, celebrities, and so on and so forth. Now, she is a vegan by choice, and Padmaja is based out of Bangalore and is passionate about biking, golf, cooking, and traveling. She's currently the Chief Operating Officer of Fundwise Consulting, an organization founded by her mentor and teacher, Nitya Shanti, a platform to instill a consciousness-based paradigm into organizational thought processes and culture. It's a beautiful profile, and I would take another 5 minutes to read in depth. But to be very frank with you, it's just not the artificial things what people portray nowadays. It's all the kind of quality work they display over a period of time. And Padmaja is one such soul. I know her for quite some time, and she's been contributing a lot in this area. And for me, it is a special event because, as I mentioned to you earlier, the Positivity Pills series started off with Padmaja as my first guest. And definitely there is a lot of respect, a lot of admiration for such great people. I take this privilege on, to welcome you on to this Positivity Pills series, which is the last Sunday session for 2021. And the session is all yours. You can take it over. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Preeja, for this loving introduction and all the love that you pour, from your heart for one and all. And I feel like I get more than everybody else. I feel a little partial because I shared a really special bond with you in Musicma, where we met for the first time. And it was really a wonderful moment for me to have met a person like you. And whatever I say or I feel for you cannot be expressed in words, because I really look up to you as a very powerful force out there, guiding people and mentoring people and showing them a direction that is much needed nowadays, and bringing in the essence of all the experience of your own life. And the way you present when you stand on stage and speak, I'm always in awe. The powerful presence that you bring to the stage is beautiful. So thank you
so
for having me on your platform. That is a very a big honor in itself, to be speaking on the platform of Preeja Sridhar. And I am happy and I'm glad that I could, in some way initiate this thing by being a first speaker. I feel I was fortunate to have that role. Yes, and at that point of time, it was a hurried thing of just, giving some gyan in a few minutes, 5 minutes, I think it was 5 minutes. And that's it. And but yeah, that was also great. And this is also wonderful. So thank you so much. And thank you, each one of you who's here today on a Sunday evening. You've chosen to be here and not anywhere else. And I'm honored for that. And I'm very grateful for your presence. And I hope, my intent is for you to get what is meant for you and what is best for you. And I hope that happens. And I would like you all to take a moment, just close your eyes. And when you look at the title, what is the intent that is coming to you in your mind? What would you like to get out of this session? I would like you to just make a note of that intent, because I believe that, your mind is so powerful. When you give it an intent, it makes sure that you achieve it. So just take in a few deep breaths and take a few moments and just make a wish. An intent could be just a wish that, yeah, by the end of this session, I would like to have this one insight or something to take away, which I can apply in my life, which will help me go through life in a more pleasant manner. Yeah, very nice. Now you all can slowly open your eyes. Mostly in all my workshops, my first exercise is I just make them write 3 intentions for the workshop, whether they know what the workshop is about or not. It doesn't matter. If you have come and you are there, there is a reason for that. What was the reason that brought you there? What do you think you will get out? That I think it is good for us to use this tool or this practice in any area of our life. Even when you start the day, intend for you to have the kind of day that you would like to have. Just as you iron your clothes and prepare, when you're going for a wedding or you're going for office or you're going to some place, you choose the kind of attire that you're going to wear and you iron it and then you put it on and you choose your attire. In the same way, choose your mindset for the day, right? And your intent, setting an intent helps you to get there. Okay. So yes, so like you can see, resilience is a very, very dear subject to me. In fact, when I, resigned from Musicma, or it was my last day, that this was the topic on which I spoke also. And it was a beautiful topic. But today what I have done is I thought that, just instead of talking about resilience and why one should be resilient and all of that, let us understand the neuroscience behind resilience. Now, many of us, we think, when we look at life around us, when we look at people around us, we think that, oh, this person is, been so resilient and they have been able to do this despite this. We look at people And then we look at ourselves, we think, oh, I don't know whether I can do that. I don't think I can do that. Many of us have this thing of comparing and feeling that I am not as good as someone because of which I cannot be like them. Okay. The good news is that each one of us can develop resilience. It is something that can be developed. And for you to develop it, it is important for you to understand the science behind it. Okay. It is important for you to understand the functioning of your brain and to realize that nothing is impossible. That's why the title of this session itself is Yes, I Can. I can, no matter what I can. Right? So for us to understand why it is possible, just because I'm telling you it is possible, or if I tell you some grand stories, yeah, I'm going to share some motivating stories with you, but just because some people did it, why should you believe me that you can do it? So today I'm going to show you why you can do it, why it is possible for you to develop this. Till the day you die, it is possible. You don't have to worry that, oh, I am this many years old and my time is gone. And if I was younger, I would have been able to do it. And now none of that. Till the day you're breathing, you can develop anything. That is how your brain is, right? So let me first take you through some of the inspiring stories. So on your screen, you see Arunima Sinha. Okay, look at her quote. अभी तो इस बाज की असली उड़ान बाकी है, अभी तो इस परिंदे का इम्तिहान बाकी है, अभी तो मैंने लांगा है समंदर को, अभी तो पूरा आसमां बाकी है. Just look at this. And this lady, she's the first female amputee. Her leg, she's an amputee. She doesn't have real legs. She has, prosthetic legs. And she climbed Mount Everest. And she has climbed many other peaks after that. At the age of 23, she was thrown off a train by robbers. And that is where another train ran over her legs. And, her legs had to be amputated, right? And this is her story. Okay. Then we see Nick Vujicic. He is another very inspiring person. And he says, I was never crippled until I lost hope. Now, Nick is a motivational speaker born with a very rare disability called tetra amelia syndrome. He doesn't have limbs at all. But he's married and he does everything that any one of us can do. He swims, he dances, he's a motivational speaker, he cooks, he eats, he combs his own hair, he gets ready, he bathes himself, he does everything on his own. Okay, so this is another story. And of course, Helen Keller, she says, all the world is full of suffering. It is also full of overcoming. Okay. So now Helen Keller, she was an American author and disability rights activist and political activist and lecturer. At a very young age, at the age of 19 months, she contracted this disease because of which she lost her hearing as well as her eyesight. Okay. So these are some examples of very, people who have had disabilities, okay, or specially abled people. But recently I was listening to a talk by a person who I'm inspired by a lot. He's an ex-army man and he, he's a very famous TEDx speaker called Captain Raghuraman. And he was speaking about talk on resilience with, a company. And he was narrating so many different stories. And one story stood out for me so much in that it made such a deep impact. He said during COVID, he happened to, he had to actually help a friend of his who was not present. His friend's mother had passed away and he had to go and, take the body from the hospital and get it cremated and all of that. And he was saying in that process, the entire staff of the hospital, right from the guards to the people, to the man who drives that van which carries the dead body, to going to the graveyard, he's saying, everybody was openly available. They were ready to help and they were ready to do this, to give that last respect to that body, that person who has lived that life. And he said, when we went to the cremation ground, he saw 5 youngsters who were from different fields. One was an engineer and one was, from some other industry. And they all had put on their PPE suits and they were digging a grave for this lady who had to be cremated. And they had offered their services to do this for people who needed it. And he was saying, these are examples of resilience. He's saying that those people were aware that it is dangerous for them to be out there and to be doing all this, but still they chose to come out and to do something despite knowing that anything can happen. But that ability to take such decisions, that ability to go out there and be there, is what resilience is about, So what is resilience? The capacity to respond to pressures and tragedies quickly, adaptively, and effectively. This is resilience. Okay. So now, like the example, I've given the example of a bottle of honey. So see, you hold a bottle of water and you hold a bottle of honey. When you shake the bottle of water, the water will spill all around. But when you shake a bottle of honey, honey is thick. It doesn't lose its center so easily, isn't it? So how can we develop this ability to become like this bottle of honey who's stable no matter what happens, right? And you will see over the period of this presentation that for some people it happens easily, for some people it doesn't happen, and the reason it doesn't happen also we will discuss today, and how to overcome those reasons also we will discuss. So there is only good news throughout the presentation, that there is only positive things for us to look forward to look forward to life in a way where we feel fulfilled as human beings, and we also feel that we are adding value to this world around us, right? We are not allowing this limiting story in our head to tell us what we can do and what we cannot do, right? Yeah, but before we move ahead, it is also very, very important for us to understand what resilience is not. Okay, what we think is resilience means I have to stay up all night and, I have to work 7 days a week and, I have to burn the midnight oil to prove myself to somebody. That is not resilience. Okay, so the misconception is that we believe that the longer we tough it out, the tougher we are, and therefore the more successful we will be. No, this is a misconception, right? We need to, Harvard Business Review study says, that the more we sacrifice our sleep in the name of productivity, we lose precious hours. We lose precious hours of productivity, and we lose revenue also for the company. It's equal to 11 days of lost productivity per year. Okay, so we are not really being smart if we don't really understand what resilience is, and we are doing the things that have nothing to do with resilience. Okay, so we need to understand, for example, suppose I tell you that you all have vehicles, right? And let us say you all have a car and you want to travel from Bangalore to Hyderabad. I'm in Bangalore, so I'm saying Bangalore. So from Bangalore to Hyderabad, or Bangalore to Delhi. Let me take a longer distance, Bangalore to Delhi. And I'm going to say that I'm going to fill in petrol only in Bangalore, and my car has to somehow reach Delhi in that much petrol. Is it going to be possible? Right? We are going to have such a long distance, coolant may be required. The car will need to be cleaned. You will need to refuel. You will need to check the air in your tires. You will need to do so many things by the time you take that 1,500 kilometer journey, or 2,000. I don't know how many thousand kilometers it is from here. But I'm saying that is what we are telling ourselves, that no, I just need to keep going on and on and on and on, and then I have to reach my destination somehow. I don't know. I'm not going to sleep, and I'm not going to eat food on time. I'm not going to exercise. I'm not going to drink enough water. I'm not going to do any of it. I'm just going to sit there and just show my team and my manager that, I'm working hard. This I don't think is smart working at all. Okay, so we need to understand that there is a certain requirement. If you want to be productive, if you want to be resilient, you want to develop resilience, if you want to be successful in life, first take care of the basics. First understand how do I need to prepare this instrument called the human body. It is like the body of the car, the engine of the car, right? And the fuel, without fuel, your vehicle cannot run. So can I understand? Can I make the effort to understand? Because when I was born, I came without a manual, without a user's manual. I just popped out of my mom's tummy. Every gadget you buy, it comes with a manual, right? But where is my manual? I didn't get a manual. So my parents, they parented me the way they were parented, the way they knew how they were parented, and the best that they knew, they did to me. Right? So by, trial and error, we've all arrived where we have arrived today. And most of us, why we struggle sometimes in life with ill health, or, despite doing everything that you are doing, and despite giving your 100% to something, why is it that I'm not able to achieve the kind of targets or my goals that I had envisioned for myself? It's because I have missed the point somewhere. I have forgotten to take care of the basics, like filling that fuel and taking a break and resting my engine for some time. right? So we're going to understand what is it that contributes to building resilience on a physiological way. Okay, so we are going to talk about that. So homeostasis is something that we all need to understand, the ability of the brain to continuously restore and sustain well-being. So the brain has this ability, but you need to give the necessary rest for it to be able to restore itself. Okay, so when the body is out of alignment because of overworking, we waste our mental and physical resources trying to return to balance. We cannot move forward. So suppose you know that I have to work for 10 hours today. Your body needs 10 hours of rest to generate that much power for you to be able to work for 10 hours. So the value of a recovery period rises in proportion to the amount of work required of us. So this is a point I will be revisiting later on during this presentation. It is very important for us to remember that if you want to do a task, if you want to do something in life, if you want to develop resilience, first understand that there are basic requirements of the brain. You just cannot keep burning it, right? So, and we also need to understand now that what is it that powers us? So what is it that makes us do what we do? Who we are today is a result of the beliefs that we developed as children, or right from the time we were in our mother's womb, we developed these beliefs about life. Okay, so I just want to quickly tell you all about the different frequencies of the brain, which it is important for us to understand. Right now, as we are conversing, we are in the beta brainwave state, where your brainwave frequency is more than 21 cycles per second, right? 14 to 21 cycles per second. In fact, and if you're in a highly anxious state or agitated state, it can go up to 60, 70, it can go higher up also. Okay. In this state of mind, an average human being has 60 to 70,000 thoughts that come and go in their head. Okay. And most of those thoughts are pertaining to things from your past or anxiety about your future. Very few of those thoughts are related to what is happening right now. Okay. And because of that, you will see that this constant anxiety and fear of the future is what is draining you of the energy. It is sucking your battery, the battery that you recharge every night when you sleep and when you eat some food gets sucked. Very many people complain of feeling tired throughout the day, or they feel that, I just am not able to pull myself out of bed, or something is because of this overthinking or, high mental activity. And this happens in the beta brainwave state. That is why the moment we tell you close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, inhale and exhale, what happens is your brainwave state starts calming down. It comes down to alpha. Alpha is 7 to 14 cycles per second. This is a beautiful stage for visualization, for, meditation, for studying, for brainstorming, for, so many, for, writing affirmations, or even just reading a book. For you to get the most out of your book, or to, if you're listening to something, bringing yourself to the alpha state of mind, which is so easy. Just take a few deep breaths, breathe in through your nose and breathe out of your mouth, and your brainwave state goes down. One more thing I want to bring to your attention is that we hardly are even breathing properly. Air is available free to us, and we still do not take the trouble to take in full deep breaths at least now and then during the day. We are so lazy to breathe. And the day they start charging this air is when I think we will start taking in deep breaths. Ask a corona patient how valuable this oxygen is, right? Don't wait for that situation to come to you. Please start, taking what nature has given us in abundance. Start taking it in proper amount, so that you are now bringing your body to balance. Okay, this instrument called the physical body, you're bringing it to balance. So that was the alpha state of mind, which you can achieve by just taking a few deep breaths. And then I would like you all to connect to the time just before sleeping. You're reading something and your book falls off your hand. You're listening to something and, your phone falls off your hand, and then you're dozing off. That is the theta brainwave state. The theta brainwave state is anywhere from 4 to 7 cycles per second, and it is an extremely impressionable state. At that point of time, the brain can be reprogrammed. Suggestions can be given. Hypnosis happens in the theta brainwave state. You know, the hypnotist, they take the client, even in hypnotherapy, the client is taken to the theta brain. In past life regression, a person reaches the theta brainwave stage where they are able to access subconscious memories. You know, that is how powerful that state of mind is. And also, I want to tell you all that, you know, free floating memories are something. For example, there is a person on who's gone for surgery and he's been given anesthesia and he's on the table there, right? So for the doctors and for everybody, he's unconscious, but his mind is in theta and he's completely absorbing everything that is happening around. He's listening to everything that's happening around. And at that point of time, whatever is being spoken or said, for example, let us say that the patient is not going to make it, or, you know, it's a very, you know, difficult surgery. And if the doctors and the nurses discuss that and they say that I don't think he'll make it, that conversation is being absorbed by the patient. It's very important for us to keep in mind what to say and what not to say to people in this stage. These are called free floating memories that the person catches even in an unconscious state. Okay. So yeah, please kindly, yeah. Thank you. So the theta, alpha, and beta brainwave stage. Why did I tell you all about these brainwave states is when it comes to developing the personality that we are, who we are today, this starts right from your mother's womb, from the time you're a fetus in the mother's womb. At that point of time, the baby up to the age of nearly 4 years of age is in the theta brainwave state. Everything that is happening around them is being absorbed. They are like sponges, they are absorbing, right? And just a second, let me put my laptop on do not disturb. Yeah. So the child is absorbing everything that the parents are going through, the mother is going through, and, you know, the state of the mental state and of the mother is being absorbed by the child. Okay, so if the mother is highly hyperactive and highly, anxious, that anxiety, that feeling of anxiety is absorbed by the fetus, and the child tends to become an ADHD or a hyperactive child. You know, many times parents, I can't control my child, he's jumping around all the time, you know, I don't know what to do about him. It is because maybe the mother went through some situations during her pregnancy where, you know, she was in a state of anxiety and, you know, didn't know what to expect, and, you know, that was what was transferred. So these are some scenarios, these are examples of some scenarios how we develop implicit memories. Now I'm talking about implicit and explicit memories. Implicit memories are unconscious memories inside our awareness that we don't even know from where these memories are coming, because the child starts understanding language only around the time that it becomes 1 year, the toddler stage, right? Around that time, it starts understanding language and words. Till then, everything is implicit. It's only sudden, sensations and experiences. For example, let us say you're 6 months old and a dog came bounding upon you at that time. You don't really know, oh my God, a dog has come, I'm in danger. The child doesn't know all these things. The child is just, you know, it's having a shock and that memory of that shock is, you know, captured by the cell memory. But if you're 6 years old, you're able to understand that, oh, this dog, I'm afraid of dogs because this happened to me. You know, a story is created. Every experience is absorbed by your brain. A neuron is attached to every experience. And then that neuron looks for clusters, similar experiences from your past where this can go and attach itself. And then they become clusters of experiences. You know, so there are different kinds of clusters in your brain. So the neuron is the smallest cell in your brain. And these neurons, right now, even as you're listening to me, there are neurons being generated in your brain and they're capturing all this information, and they will start. So there's a constant point of reference happening, association with previous experiences of similar kind where they will go and attach themselves. That's why you will see all your angry memories are clustered together, your sad memories are clustered together. So when a sad event happens, that cluster is activated by your limbic system. Now your limbic system, I will talk to you all, I will show you all a diagram of the brain and talk to you all about it. But I'm saying implicit memories are those which you are not even aware of that you're carrying, okay? And explicit memories are those which we consciously remember. Like I said, a 6-year-old child will remember that a dog came bounding and then, oh, I got afraid. And from now on, I'm going to be careful of dogs. That whole story has been created in the moment. In the moment it has been created, right? So these are explicit memories, right? Now, I just will show the amygdala is part of the reptilian brain. It is part of the limbic system. Okay. And the PFC is the prefrontal cortex, this part of the brain, which is just in your forehead area. These regulate these memories and aids the rewiring of the neurocircuitry. So I will explain this in detail later on, but it's important for us to understand that we have these two kinds of memories. Okay. So now next, understanding the brain. Okay. Just look at this. See here on the right side, you can see this like it has been cut into half, this brain. You will see this white part where I've written lower brain. This is the reptilian brain and the higher brain. The higher brain develops slowly later on, you know. So I will give you all, and this is the brain stem, which connects the brain to the spinal cord. Okay. And then here you will see that is the left lobe and the right lobe. The right lobe is associated with free feelings and creativity, and the left lobe is associated with logic. Okay. So now let me tell you a little bit about the brain. That the brain weighs 3 pounds. Okay. It consumes 25% of your energy. 25% of your energy. That's why I see, even if you're not exercising, if you've been using your brain and working on a presentation or something, you will feel hungry. You'll feel like you need to eat something, drink something, right? It's not only physical activity which makes you hungry, it's also mental activity. That is why when your mother tells you in the morning, don't go empty stomach to school, eat something and go, listen to her. It is important for you, because if you want to study well, that morning they say, eat your breakfast like a king. Eat your lunch like a prince, and eat your dinner like a pauper. Okay, so this is very important. Why? Because your brain consumes. If you're a study, if you're a student, or of course we are all students throughout life, and if we want to be students continuously, we have to understand that our brain is consuming energy and we need to give proper nutrition. It uses this energy to process more than 50 experiences per second. Now imagine in a second, 50x. Right now, you think you're only listening to me, but actually your brain is processing 49 other experiences on an average. It could be more than that also. Okay, I am aware of this light on my face. I am aware of this background of mine. I'm aware of you all people on my screen. I'm aware of what I'm talking. I'm aware of this room and that room and this color and that color. So many things. I'm aware of my body. I'm aware of my sound that I'm listening to. You see? So there are so many things happening around us. So, and there are 100 billion neurons in our brain, okay, 100 billion, and each neuron is capable of communicating with 5,000 to 7,000 neurons every second. Okay, just think about the magnitude of activity that is happening in your brain. Okay. The number of possible connections with neurons at any given second is greater than the number of atoms in the known universe. Okay. So the complexity of the functioning of the brain shows that our patterns for resilience is also staggering. You know, your ability to become resilient is having so many staggering possibilities are there. So just realize that there is this supercomputer, you know, that is managing your experience of life, and anything is possible. Okay. And the brain learns to be resilient both from the lower brain and the higher brain. Okay. The lower brain is inherited from our reptilian ancestors or mammalian ancestors. Okay. And that was basically the fight, flight, and freeze response is what is activated from the lower brain. What was that? Early man had to be constantly on the run to protect himself, because he didn't know from where some wild animal would come, where he'll fall into a ditch, where he'll be bitten by a snake. Also, when I will get food, he didn't know. So whenever he got food, he hoarded. He ate as much as he could, because for days on end, he would not get food to eat. You see, our tendency to binge eat is also coming from our memories of the reptilian brain. You know, but the moment you see some food and you think that, oh my God, I don't know when I can, especially when we go for weddings, we see people will fill up their plates, whether they're going to finish it or no, they tend to fill up plates. Why? Because they're operating from that space. Oh, will it get over? If it gets over, then I will not have enough to eat. You see, it's an unconscious activity. They are not bad people, right? It's just that they are unconscious. So it's important for us to realize from where we are operating. So this reptilian brain, our lower brain, it reacts to events rapidly and automatically with no conscious effort. Instant reaction. Okay, it's just like you touch a hot thing, instant reaction, right? You don't need 3-4 seconds for your brain to tell you, hey, it is hot, take your hand away. You don't need that, right? Instant reaction. So this is associated with your lower brain. Okay, it controls our hardwired response to any stressor. And these were our earliest survival strategies. Okay, so the limbic system is part of the lower brain. The limbic system, let me just give you the names. You don't have to remember any of this. You can find it all on the internet. It comprises of the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the insula. Okay, these are the 5 things. And the amygdala, so we saw the amygdala in the previous thing. The amygdala is like, it is like the, let us say, it is like the chimney with the smoke, that it is constantly looking for what can go wrong. Okay, it is all the time screaming fire, fire, fire. And it is looking for a response from outside, am I getting someone to come and protect me, sort of thing. So the amygdala is always on high alert to keep you safe and secure, right? But this was okay for the time when you were out in the open and you could be eaten by animals and all. But now we sit inside the house and we are constantly overthinking and we're afraid. What if they think I'm stupid? What if I don't do things well? What if this goes wrong? What if this doesn't work? We are recreating situations for ourselves, which maybe need not happen also, because we are still hardwired to think from the fight, flight, or freeze response. Right. So now I'm going to talk about the higher brain. The higher brain is located on the upstairs of the lower brain. Okay. And this evolved later through our primate ancestors. Okay. Our primates were the apes and all of them. And it is a slow track, and it requires seconds or longer, and it operates very consciously. Okay. So this is this window obstructing y'all? Is there any obstruction? No, right? Y'all can see. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is about the brain. So we need to understand that this is how we are responding and how we are this. The reason I shared all this with y'all is I want y'all to understand that this part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, the frontal part of your brain, is of high importance when it comes to understanding resilience and how to develop resilience. Okay, that is why this little background was necessary. Now I'm going to talk to you about the prefrontal cortex and how strengthening our prefrontal cortex is important for a strong and mature response to recover our resilience. Okay, so now these are some of the things, and many more things, happen when the prefrontal cortex is strengthened. Okay, it is called the focusing network, the prefrontal cortex. In simple terms, I will talk about all these points, but in simple terms, if I were to tell you, every action that you do, every repetitive action that you do, any action that you keep repeating over and over again is, observed by your prefrontal cortex. If you're not doing it regularly, it is like a ram. It will not pay attention. It will just, it'll just sit back and let you do what you're doing. But when you start repeating something, when it starts taking it seriously, right? So your prefrontal cortex, like that is why they say that any habit, for it to mature, for you to develop a habit, you need to repeat that activity for 21 to 60 days, depending on the complexity of the activity. And for example, when you were a child and you started walking, okay, let us imagine that the prefrontal cortex was not, functioning in this way. We didn't have the support of prefrontal cortex. When you started walking as a child, you stood up, you took one step and you fell down. But then you stood up again, you took a couple of steps, you fell down. When you repeated this activity, your brain recorded that thing and it stored it. That's why you're able to walk today. But if that was not there, imagine every day morning you have to get up and learn to walk all over again. Every day morning you get up and you learn to do every single thing that you have learned to do since you have learned as a child. Imagine, would we be able to do anything at all in this? We would still be stuck in learning to walk every day and learning to put food in our mouth every day, or leave alone putting food, who would cook and clean? I'm just thinking, how would life be if this ability for your prefrontal cortex was not there to record an activity and store it at the back of your brain in a place called the basal ganglia. Okay, that is where all these activities, pre-recorded activities, are stored, because of which you don't have to relearn them every day. You learn cycling once, it is recorded. You learn driving once, it is recorded. You learn the basics of any activity. You learn to brush your teeth once, it is recorded. You don't have to, you can be on autopilot for all these things, right? That is only because your prefrontal cortex has this ability to record a repetitive activity and then to store it and to bring it to your awareness without too much of your energy being used. Otherwise, how much energy will be used? Already we feel drained, and extra energy is being used to learn the same activity over and over again, right? So that's how important the prefrontal cortex is. Now, what the prefrontal cortex does, okay? Because I'm going to talk about tools and techniques to build resilience. And the prefrontal cortex has got a very, very important role to play in that. Okay. So what the prefrontal cortex does is it regulates the body and helps you to recover from a stress response. Okay. It also helps in quelling or suppressing or reducing the fear response of the amygdala. I told you, right? The limbic system, the amygdala is something that's constantly looking for danger. So it is hyper stressed all the time. So it helps the amygdala to calm down. Okay. It helps us in managing our emotions and modulating extreme conditions, right? Sometimes, let us say it is just weather. You've been living in a very cold weather area, and then you suddenly move to Chennai, where it's only, summer throughout the year. So it is initially when you go, it is extremely difficult, but then what helps you to get adjusted, that acclimatization happens because of your prefrontal cortex. Okay. Attunement, of course, I'm not saying it's only the prefrontal cortex, but the prefrontal cortex plays a major role in that function. Attuning into another person's emotional state is a very, very important aspect of relationships, of having good relationship or understanding relationships. So a strengthened prefrontal cortex helps you to tune into another person's feelings and perspectives, or your own. Many people, they live in a state of being completely oblivious to what they themselves are experiencing. They don't even know what they themselves are experiencing, leave alone being tuned into somebody else. That is because they are having so much of unprocessed trauma in them, and because of which they are not able to be fully aware. So, it helps us to tune into feelings and emotions of others and ourselves, and to sense even without words being said, and to what action to take. For example, a mother can sense what her child is going through, isn't it? How many mothers here can resonate with this? That, it is very easy that the moment you look at your child's face, what she or he has gone through. And, then you immediately ask, is everything okay? Have you eaten something? When they are hungry, this is attuning. How does that happen? Because of this portion of your brain. Okay. Empathy, the ability to feel and imagine and, what is happening in somebody else and in us, to be, to hold space or to be there, and to be able to, support people, because empathy is one of the most important factors for building resilience. And for that, you need to strengthen your prefrontal cortex. Okay. So if you're not able to be empathetic, it's not because you are a bad person or anything. It is just that you have your own certain things to take care of and to work upon, and then empathy will start emerging with certain practices. It will come. We are naturally spiritual beings. We are naturally compassionate beings. There is no spirituality to achieve. We just have to uncover all the muck that we have accumulated on top and allow that beauty to blossom forth, right? And then self-awareness, it helps us to have more self-awareness. I think self-awareness is the key to conscious living. It is the key to being a happy human being. And knowing about yourself and, developing a coherent narrative of the self is very, very important. Some more, points about the prefrontal cortex that we should know is the response flexibility. That is the ability to pause, to step back, and to reflect on a situation instead of being reactive, to become responsive. Okay, to have perspectives to a situation. How can you resolve conflict? You cannot resolve conflict by standing and fighting all the time, right? A conflict can be resolved when there is open dialogue. That open dialogue can happen only when you're able to look at that situation in different perspectives. If you're going to be stuck at my way or the highway, we are never going to, arrive upon any solution. So again, here the prefrontal cortex plays a very important role. Intuition, your ability to know where I need to be at what time, where, suddenly you'll have a thought that, oh, I need to speak to this person, or I need to go there. And you will see that it turns out to be a blessing in disguise. Right? Again, this intuitive ability, it is just like you type something on Google and you press enter and Google gets something out of nowhere, you get some answers on a computer, right? From the internet, so-called internet. In the same way, there is the internet of all things, of the universal internet. For your brain is able to tap into that and receive information. How do you think anything was created in this world? Every what to say, these scientists, their discoveries and whatever they created started with an idea in the head. It just started. The idea of making an aeroplane was an idea in the head. And then when they gave more and more energy to that idea is when they materialized it from thin air, it became into something matter. Right? So how did it happen? There is some information available out there, and we are tuning into each other. We are reading from each other. We are absorbing these ideas. And for us to be able to do that, to be in flow, you need to have a well-developed prefrontal cortex. Okay. Morality, coordinating processes of lower brain, higher brain, the lower brain and also the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is logical, right brain is creative. When we are able to infuse both together, use all these aspects fully, is when you can come up with the best version of yourself. You can see your upgraded self. Okay. So these are the reasons why we should understand it's important to work on the prefrontal cortex. Okay. So the two powerful processes of our brain functioning. Now, this is a very, very important thing. We need to know that these are two processes that we need to focus on to build resilience. One is to understand our conditioning. What is our conditioning because of which who we are today, right? I gave you a brief idea about the frequency of the brain wave, right? In different states. Now we are also going to see some other things which will help us to understand why we are who we are today, why some of us are resilient in some situations. In some situations, we are not resilient. Some places we feel very confident, and some places we don't feel confident. Why this happens? Understanding the conditioning. Second is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to rewire itself, to reprogram itself, to shift, to change, to become good as new. Right? For you to overcome your limiting beliefs and to develop new beliefs. That is the ability. It is possible. This is the good news I was telling you, that this ability of the brain to change itself is why it is possible for us to develop anything or to learn anything that we want to do. Okay, so the first thing we are going to talk about conditioning. Okay, some reasons about how we get conditioned. So there are some types of attachment styles which is important for us to understand as children. Now, this is from the perspective of your caregivers. Let us say it could be your parents or your teachers or whoever took care of you as a child. So there are 4 types of attachment styles. One is secure, one is anxious insecure, one is avoidant insecure, and one is disorganized insecure. Okay. Now, this is when your caregiver has been available, has been sensitive, has been responsive and accepting of who you are as a child. The child grows up to be a secure child. And as a result, this child is comforted easily in the face of any stress. The child doesn't get flustered. The child is able to be comforted easily, and the child is able to share their feelings. And they display empathetic behavior to others also because they have had the empathy of their parents. Okay, so this is the first type. The second type is anxious insecure. Anxious insecure children, caregivers or parents or whoever, they have been unreliable in the sense that, see, now here I'm not trying to point out in any way that we have had bad parents or anything like that. If a parent has displayed these kinds of behaviors, it is only because they have had their own unattended trauma in them, unresolved trauma that they themselves are carrying. They don't even know that they are carrying. It's just like, they went through a lot of their own, because of which they were not able to be fully present for the child. So the anxious insecure is the parent was unreliable. And this happens, for example, this happens when a parent is exhibiting different emotional states, sometimes very excited and happy and suddenly, okay, come, let's go out and have fun. And sometimes, getting angry and being moody and disconnecting from the child and things like that. So sporadic behavior, and the presence is unpredictable, okay, and fluctuating behavior, all these things, the child doesn't know what to expect from the parent and is constantly on hypervigil, okay. So here the child, it takes a long time for them to calm down in the face of stress. They are reluctant to explore the unknown world. They are very clingy because they are thinking, if I don't watch my parent all the time, I don't know what will happen to me. To protect themselves, they have to be clingy, and they don't adapt quickly to new caregivers, okay. They take time. The third is avoidant insecure. Here the caregiver minimizes their feelings, rejects them. These are basically caregivers who have not been available to the child. It can happen sometimes in situations if the single parent, that parent has had to work, that's what we need to understand, that it's not that they are bad parents. Sometimes situations makes things happen in this way. So if the parent has been working and not being able to be present for their child, and rejects their demands, maybe financially they cannot afford, and they say, no, you can't have it, or they say, okay, figure things out on your. Sometimes we have extremely, disciplinarian parents or teachers. In that case, they become avoidant insecure. Here, the child prefers interacting with strangers instead of parents, okay. They get all their information from outside. They explore outside and do not turn to parents for comfort, and they become self-reliant, which is a good thing, but sometimes they can take it to an extreme, okay. And they're very good at solving external problems, but when it comes to their own internal world and their internal problems and emotions, they are not able to address them properly, right. These will be some of the most brilliant people out there, but they disconnect from their own emotions because of having had an absent parent. And the disorganized insecure is where the child has been rejected by the caregiver. The child has been ridiculed and frightened. Sometimes, these situations also happen. And this is actually one of the biggest percentage of people in the world, in the insecure, disorganized insecure. And here, what happens is the child is dazed and confused whenever the parent is around, because they are totally in fear of being. Usually here, there's a lot of abuse also that happens, okay. And also they rebel. They ignore the presence of their parent. Even if they want help, they will go. They will go to the parent, but they will not take the help of the parent. They will become rebellious. They'll throw tantrums. They'll create a scene wherever they go. So this happens. So all these other threes, a secure attachment child will be a well-balanced child who will be able to have empathy and who will be able to respond to situation, whereas the other three are where the prefrontal cortex is not able to develop to its full extent, because it's constantly in the fight, flight, or freeze response. You remember the reptilian brain. When the reptilian brain is hyperactive, the prefrontal cortex cannot develop. So in the early stages, now going back to that information that I gave you about the first cycle of 7, where up to the age of 4, your brain is in the theta brainwave state. If the child has gone through these other 3 attachment styles, it curbs the development of the prefrontal cortex, because of which it may display fear or reactiveness, or not being able to display resilience. Now we understand, right? So I just want you all to take a few moments, and think about if you believe that in certain situations you could have displayed a different kind of a behavior, or you could have been more responsive rather than reactive. I just want you to think back and see that what could have been the reasons, and what is it that you believed about life because of which you behaved in that way, right? Because if you want to solve a problem, or you want to overcome a problem, you should have a starting point and an ending point. I am here, and from here I want to go there. So first, understanding where I am, what is my problem, or what is my challenge that I need to resolve, so that then I can find a path to resolve it. Okay, so this is important for us to understand. Now, going back to this diagram of the brain, I just want to tell you this right lobe, right to the right side of the right lobe in this area is the defocusing network. Your prefrontal cortex is the focusing network, but to the right side of your right lobe is the defocusing network. Now, we spoke about the ability of the brain to rest and recoup so that it can perform better, right? Homeostasis. We spoke about homeostasis, the ability of the brain to continuously restore and sustain well-being. Why this is so important for your prefrontal cortex to function now. So the defocusing network is the basis of the conditioning we use to unlearn and rewire the strategies that were encoded by the prefrontal cortex in cases of the other 3 attachment styles. Suppose there were traumatic situations which your prefrontal cortex has encoded and stored, because of which you are facing problem. Developing the defocusing network is really important to switch between these 2 networks and sense of self and non-self. So what happens is, as they are growing up, we develop a sense of identity about who I am. Oh, I am Padmaja, and I was born in such and such a place. I belong to such and such a culture. I am this kind of a person. I like this. I don't like that. This is good. That is bad. We develop a sense of identity, right? And as long as we are trapped in that identity and we're trying to protect that identity, and when we see something happen that does not agree with our idea of good, then we resist it and we try to change it, we try to fight it, and that causes suffering, right? So developing this defocusing network is important for you to come to a state of releasing your hold on that sense of self. Then you will see that it helps you to become self-aware and let go of the sense of self. It helps you to enter a more conscious, spacious consciousness. When all of you meditate or just take a few deep breaths, you feel good. You suddenly feel good. Why? Because you have detached for a few moments from that sense of self, that identity that you're burdened carrying on your back all your life. And you've gone into a state of spaciousness, which gives you a vastness, a feeling of oneness with everybody around. And this is where spirituality comes in. Okay. This is where this idea of oneness, of being connected to everything, comes in. Why? Because that is your true nature. So the flexible receptivity of the defocusing network allows you to rewire the different patterns, and it helps the personal self to become more spacious. Okay, so it is important for us to use both networks, and it gives more choice to rewire our brains to increase resilience. So when you become resilient, what happens? You become more calm, you have more clarity, you have more connection, you don't hesitate to reach out for help. Okay, you are able to use your past experiences and you can count on them to use them in any kind of situation. You're able to have that ability, and you develop a sense of courage that I can do, and to become equanimous. Now here is where I would like to start talking about something called the Brahma Viharas. Prija, how much time do I have?
So you have another 15 minutes. You can.
I can. Okay, excellent. Yeah. I hope everybody's still listening. I haven't put you all to sleep, I hope.
Definitely not.
Yeah, okay, because it's been a little too biology and technical, but it is important and it's interesting also for us to know.
Absolutely.
It's really lovely. I'm enjoying it.
Oh,
wow, superb.
Great. Thank you.
We are all enjoying so much of learning. So much of learning.
Yes, we are just listening to you.
Thank you. Yes. So, yeah. So you develop courage and equanimity. Now the Buddha talks about the 4 states, the 4 Brahma Viharas, which I think you all can even write down if I'm talking about it. These are beautiful practices, values to inculcate in our lives. The first one is Maitreya. I am my friend. You are my friend. All are my friends. Okay, the ability to be friends with everyone, Maitreya. The second one is Karuna, compassion. May I be free from suffering. May you be free from suffering. May all beings be free from suffering. Okay, even just listening to these things, how are you feeling in your being, in your body, in your head? How are you feeling? You feel so good, right, when we talk about these things, right? The third one is Mudita. Now, Mudita is such a beautiful thing. I just want you to understand that this is so powerful. Mudita Bhava, the ability to rejoice in other people's happiness. Now we see, for example, if you have been planning to get a car and you see that your neighbor has got a car, we sometimes tend to go into a state of jealousy that, Arey, how did he get? I have been wanting to buy for so long and it never happens. Everybody else is lucky and nothing happens in my life. We go into that state, you know. On the contrary, if you're able to shift your perception or your perspective to mudita bhava, that, oh, I bless that you find happiness in your new car. I bless that you get more of what you desire. When you give this energy out, it has to come back to you. It has to come back to you. It is inevitable, right? So the third bhava is mudita bhava. First is Maitreya, second is Karuna, third is mudita. And the fourth, and for mudita, like for mudita, like when suppose you have people around you who are getting something that they want. So the word that my teacher Nitya Shanti he taught us was anumodana. You say anumodana means I bless you to have more happiness in your life. Anumodana. Okay, I believe that it originates from Jainism, this word anumodana. Okay, so it is your ability to bless other people's happiness and rejoice in their happiness. And just imagine if you are able to bring yourself to that state, how your heart will fully expand. Okay, and the fourth quality, which is equally important, is upeksha, the ability to be equanimous in all situations. This too shall pass. For you to be able to apply this in every situation, this
Big boy, you can do it.
So why I spoke about these things is because there is a relevance. I'm going to talk about these. These are some of the tools that you can apply on a day-to-day basis to develop those abilities to become more resilient. So here the word equanimous came, and so I thought I must share this with you all, because these 4 Brahma Viharas of the Buddha, you can Google it and see. In fact, there is a Brahma Vihara meditation also, which is very beautiful, and listening to it or practicing this consciously every day helps you to develop empathy, which is one of the main tools, or the ways to develop resilience. Okay, so Charles Darwin says that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptive to change that survives. Now why we are talking about this is because of the fact that we spoke about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of your brain to change according to what is necessary, letting go of something that is not working and developing or reprogramming yourself in a way that is more proactive and more positive for your life. Okay, so what are the powerful tools for brain change? Now we have come to the application part. Now we have understood a little bit about the theory, or the what is it that makes us non-resilient, or makes us fearful. And now what can I do to make those changes in my brain so that I become a more resilient person? So the first thing is to identify your limiting beliefs. Okay, identifying limiting beliefs. I will tell you how to do that also. I'll give you simple tools for you to apply so that you can start doing that. First of all, like I said, if you have to make a journey, in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey talks about have an end in mind, but also you should know where to start. Where I am today. He speaks about where you are and where you are going. So identifying what are those factors which are stopping me is important. So that is one thing. The second thing is mindfulness. Mindfulness is a 2,500-year-old contemplative Buddhist practice. It is also, we have had practices in other cultures. In our Vedic era also, we've had meditation and many other things. But mindfulness, the way mindfulness has evolved over the period, has made it very easy and simple for people to follow, right? So mindfulness, and the third way for the tool is developing empathy. Now, empathy comes from Western relational psychology. So the infusion of these two things plus identifying what needs to be worked on is the solution for developing resilience in your body, for building resilience. Now, what are the various techniques to help build resilience? Now you can see that I have put these things in 3 different colors. So the first few, which are in red color, are all related to working on limited beliefs. Okay, we saw these things, right? Limited beliefs. Okay, then we will talk about the practices for mindfulness and how we can develop empathy. Now the 3 R's. Now I would like you all to write down what are the 3 R's. The 3 R's are resentments, rejections, and regrets that we carry. What are the resentments that we carry? Like, I would suggest that you all keep a notebook separately for this exercise and ask yourself that from today onwards, if I were to go in a flashback and to think about all the time I felt resentment towards somebody, that they should not have done that, this should not have happened, you know, that was so unfair, this was so unkind, you know, all these thoughts that you carry of all the incidents. See, you may think that, oh, I don't think about it anymore, but it is still there down in your subconscious mind. And it is, you know, these 3 hours, I'll tell you what, how you should visualize or think about them. They are like iron balls that are chained to your feet. And you are trying to progress ahead in life, but will they let you progress? No, they are holding you back. They are so heavy, they don't let you progress. So identifying them is the first step. Once you identify what are the resentments, rejections are every time you felt rejected, you felt you were not accepted. Yeah, and regrets, the things that you feel that, oh, I should not have done that, or I shouldn't have done this, or this shouldn't have happened, you know, these are regrets. So identifying them down, right? And then working on inner child issues. Take help from a professional, you know, work on childhood traumas. You know, we spoke about attachment styles. Just go back and see what kind of a childhood did you have. And I'm saying that, you know, have a lot of love for your parents in your heart, because, you know, they did what best they could do despite whatever might have happened. But they did their best to take care of you in the best possible way from whatever they knew. You know, it is only now that we have so much awareness about parenting and all of that. In our times, even I come from the baby boomers age, I have traumatized my children so much unknowingly, not knowing that, you know, these are things, absolute no. I didn't know these things. I got married very early and I had children very early and I didn't know. But now when I read and I learned all these things, I realized, and then I took steps. I've been working on my own relationship with them for several years now, and things are getting much and much better. So childhood traumas, it's important for you to identify that. And it is nice, good to take help, or, you know, there are so many courses and sessions that are happening on inner child therapy, inner child work, where you can overcome that. And it's extremely powerful. You will see a transformation happening in your life like you cannot even imagine. Right there, I have so many friends who have gone through this. You know, they've taken sessions, and I used to conduct a lot of these workshops before the pre-COVID era. And there are people who, you know, simple things like, you know, learning to drive a car, after that for years they couldn't do that because of some limiting belief. And when they worked on it, they said that I developed the you know, courage to learn to drive a car, and now I feel free. I feel like I can do anything, and that has given me the courage to start a business or something like that. You know, so much transformation happens when you work on childhood memories and traumas, limiting beliefs. Okay, so talking to a professional is something I would highly recommend. Please take help. It is okay for you to take help. Just as you, at the drop of a hat, people are ready to go to the doctor and pop in a pill and anything when it comes to the body. But when it comes to mental health, it is still a taboo thing for people in the older generation to take help. I highly recommend, please talk to professionals, take help, encourage your children to talk to people, also talk to counselors if they are going through anything, because it opens up a space for dialogue and for solutions, right? So that is important. Then EFT is emotional freedom technique. It is also called tapping. I would recommend that you please go to YouTube and check for videos on tapping or emotional freedom technique. And this is one of the most powerful ways and quick ways. In a matter of few sessions or few minutes, sometimes you can see transformation in your emotional state. So I would recommend you all highly to explore EFT, or emotional freedom technique. Emotional freedom technique is a combination again of Western psychotherapy and Eastern acupressure. Okay, it is, as you're talking about your pain or trauma, you're tapping on some meridian points on your body, which helps you to release the trauma that is stored in your body. Here it is important for you all to know that when trauma happens, it is not only your mind which is holding the story of that trauma slowly goes and settles itself in your body. It is called somatic memory. It settles down in your cellular memory, and that, over a period of time, that is why we develop certain health problems, because a certain experience or a thought, it perpetuated from the thought body to your energy body to your physical body, and then it emerges. So I would again recommend that you all read the book You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. I think it was spoken about in one of the previous sessions. And it is a beautiful book which tells you what thought processes create what disease in the body. At the end of the book, an entire table is there. So please look up that book and understand the importance of working on memories that have emerged as physical disease. And it is possible for you to reverse it. It is possible for you to overcome these problems, right? So all I want to give you here is that you are a powerful being. You're a powerful being, and anything is possible for you. You just have to understand the science behind this and then be ready to do the work that is needed to overcome it. And then life becomes limitless for you. Unlimited life you can enjoy. Okay. And next is Jinshin Jutsu. Again, it's a popular form of acupressure and meridian system which is emerging. Again, I would encourage you all to look it up on the internet. It involves holding certain points of the body to get your physical body, or to release trauma, to release stress in the body. Okay. And journaling. Now, journaling, I cannot say enough about journaling. I think journaling has been one of the most powerful tools for my life to be transformed, to be able to write about what is happening. I was listening to a talk by this famous monk, Dandapani, and where he talks about this process called Vasana Dahakriya. What he says is that when you're experiencing a so-called negative, by the way, no emotions are negative. All emotions are important for our experience of life. For example, let me just ask you, if you were to only eat sweets throughout your life, how would your life be? Can you eat sweet day in and day out, every meal throughout your life? Is it possible? No. We want some spice, we want some sour, we want some salt, we want a combination of things for us to enjoy the food that we eat. In the same way, emotions, this range of emotions that we experience, it is important for us to allow ourselves to experience these emotions. The Berkeley University, they conducted a research, and it's called as emodiversity. They say that a person who limits themselves to only pleasant emotions and avoids unpleasant ones are more unhappy than the people who allow themselves to experience the entire range of emotions. So when an emotion comes, when you feel angry and upset, don't suppress it and don't try to avoid it. Sit with it. Imagine that your emotion is a friend who's in distress and wants to talk to you. When your friend is in pain, what would you do? Even if you don't have an answer to their problem, the best you can do is sit next to them, right? And say, hey, you know what? I don't know how to help you, but I'm here with you. I'm ready to sit with you. Let us say that your friend has gone through grief, has lost a loved one. You cannot tell them, oh, you shouldn't feel bad, become strong. How can they not feel bad? They will feel bad. They've been with this person for so long. The best you can do is to sit with them and just hold their hand maybe, or put a hand around their shoulder. That is the best way you can be there. In the same way, can you treat your emotions like that? When you're experiencing an emotion, can you sit with it? Can you fully feel that emotion? And then take a pen and a paper and write everything that is emerging as a result of being in that state. Just write it all out. And so Dandapani says in the Vasana Dahakriya, he says, write out, even if you're feeling abusive, don't hold it inside. Write it out on a paper and then burn it. He's saying energy cannot be destroyed, it can be transformed. So you are bringing that energy of abusiveness, of anger out through your hands, through the pen, onto the paper, and you're burning that paper and transforming it to heat energy. So you have released it from your body. You're not holding on to something that you don't need. Anger has come, it has arisen, and it has left you. That is being in flow. We have gone through so many unconscious, the implicit memories that I'm talking about, they will arise in this way, and it is important for you to let them flow and not hold them back. When you hold them back is when they become disease in the body. So start becoming more conscious about what is happening with you, right? And how will you develop that? Now the next stage is practicing mindfulness. So mindfulness helps you develop the mental muscle for focus. It helps you to build strength in your prefrontal cortex. It helps you to be more present. It helps you to become more aware of what is happening right now. It helps you to be fully present in any activity that you're doing. Right? And when you repeat it, when you are more focused, you're practicing this, your prefrontal cortex gets strengthened. And as a result, you are able to become more resilient. And when your prefrontal cortex gets strengthened, also the Dalai Lama and some research that has happened with meditators shows that your ability to develop empathy, which we spoke about as the third factor, that also develops. So mindfulness helps you to strengthen your prefrontal cortex, plus also become a more empathetic human being. Okay. So when it comes to mindfulness, like mindfulness techniques, one of the simplest ones you can do is to sit and watch your cool breath in, warm breath out, cool breath in, warm breath out. Okay. And it is supposed to be, it is called Anapanasati, and it's supposed to be the practice that Buddha practiced when he attained enlightenment. Okay. That is one practice. And there are many, many, many mindfulness doesn't have to just be you closing your eyes and sitting. Mindfulness could also be that you are doing the dishes and you're fully present in doing the dishes. You are eating your food, you're fully aware of what you're putting in your mouth, how much you're putting in your mouth, you're chewing it and you're realizing the flavors and you're assimilating them properly, fully present. You're like, it is worship. It is being fully present to the activity of eating food or bathing or doing the dishes or walking or anything. Anything can be mindfulness. So the whole idea here is for us to develop the practice of mindfulness to a point where you are mindful 24 hours of the day. It is not a conscious activity. It becomes like, your prefrontal cortex has recorded it and it has become your way of life now. Being mindful has become your way of life, and just imagine the possibilities. You have opened up the doors of infinite possibilities for yourself when you develop this ability to be mindful. Okay. And another technique which is important, very powerful, is any kind of breath work. You have so many different kinds of breath works available to you. Pick up anything that you enjoy or you understand or you resonate with, and just hold on to it and do it like every morning you wake up, you go brush your teeth, you have your bath, you cleanse yourself. It's become a routine, right? Like that, put these practices as a non-negotiable routine in your day-to-day life. Okay. So now going to the part where we build empathy. The 4 Brahma Viharas I already shared with you all: Karuna, Maitreya, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha. And what was the word I told you all for Mudita?
I think it was Anumodhana.
Yes, Anumodana. Anumodana is like congratulations. Congratulations, more than congratulations. This is more of a blessing. This is like, I bless you to have more
Rejoice
happiness.
in other people's happiness.
Yes, rejoice in other people's happiness. Yes. So I spoke about the 4 Brahma Viharas. Now I want to share the 5 agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz. How many of y'all have read the 4 agreements and the 5th agreement? If y'all have not read it, I would recommend that every household should have a set of these books at home. They are brilliant books, simple Toltec wisdom, and they speak in a capsule. I'll give you the 5 agreements. The first one is, be impeccable with your word. Always only say what you want to hear from other people, because every word you utter is a blessing or a curse unto yourself and then onto the other. Why? Because that word emerges from within. So be kind to yourself. Develop empathy by having good speech, impeccable word. The second one is, don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. You cannot control how a person will express themselves. You can control how you receive it, right? The power is in your hands. Okay, I'm just giving you the gist. You should read the book for yourself. The third one is, don't make assumptions. When you assume, you make an ass of you and me. So don't make assumptions, because you never know the story. You don't know what is actually happening in the other person's life for you to make up stories. And if you see, you have never ever met anyone in your life till today. You have never met. You have only met your story about them that you carry in your head. You don't know a true person. You don't know what is happening. This is a wisdom which I heard from my teacher, and I've held on to it like anything because it makes so much sense. So don't make assumptions. The fourth thing is always do your best, no matter what. You give your 100%. Don't compare your 100% with somebody else's 100%. Your 100% is your best. You do your best. And the more and more you keep doing your best, your ability to do your best will keep increasing. Your 100% will keep increasing, right? The fifth agreement, which is a second book. The first book is just the 4 agreements. The second book is the fifth agreement. It says that be open to listening. Listen to everybody, but choose what feels right for you. Don't blindly follow. Even today, whatever I have shared, right? Don't take everything. Please don't just believe me blindly. Sit with an open mind, but take even one point. If you just like the word Anumodana, just take Anumodana and practice it. Enough. So he says, be skeptical. Choose what feels right for your heart, because what is right for you need not be right for someone else. Each one of us is so unique. We should stop trying to clone each other. Oh, I want to become like Mahatma Gandhi. No, we already had one Mahatma Gandhi. We don't need more Mahatma Gandhis. We need Preja to be Preja. We need Michelle to be Michelle. We need Taina to be Taina. We need you. We don't want anybody else, right? So only take what feels right for you, right? So these are the 5 agreements. And applying this opens you up to becoming more unconditional in your acceptance of people. And when you do that, it helps you to go into the flow. It helps you to put yourself in their shoes and understand what is happening with them. So many beautiful things start happening. Then there is this Tonglen meditation, which is a very powerful Tibetan practice. It is a practice of breathing in suffering, breathing out relief, breathing in suffering of the world, breathing out relief. There is a YouTube video which I have made. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will find it. And Tonglen meditation, this is for developing compassion in your body. Okay. Next is increase listening on all levels. Now, this is a quality that each and every one of us has to develop. That if you want to become resilient, if you want to develop empathy, first learn to be present, fully mindfulness, and to listen. And listening is not only from your ears, it is from your heart. Can you move from your head into your heart when you're listening to people? Can you listen to more than words? Can you listen to the feeling, the emotion, the body posture, what is coming across? Can you become fully present? This is going to help you become, you will be so happy that you have developed this art. Listening is an art, and it takes a lot of work. So listening, increasing listening on all levels, and not only listening to others, start listening to yourself. What is happening within you? What are my needs? Am I fulfilling my needs? Are my needs being met? Listen to yourself. You are the most important being in the universe. Only because you exist does this universe exist. Just think about it. If I take you out of the equation, then where is the universe for you? Right? You are the central point, the focal point of the universe. So take yourself seriously. Don't listen to the people who say that, you should not think about yourself. That is being vain and selfish and all. Don't listen to them. I believe that you take care of yourself first. You want to give to the world, first fulfill your desires, fulfill your limitations, your needs. Only then will you give wholeheartedly. Otherwise, there is a condition in the way that you give, that I'm giving you because you have to give it to me sometime. That is conditional behavior. But if you want to have unconditional love to people, fulfill your needs first, and then you see the way you give to the world and society will change. Okay. And encourage community service. This, especially for the youngsters, I would suggest that get into some form of social service, some kind of, if nothing, just pick up 2 poor children and teach them to read and write, or go to an old age home, or go to an orphanage, or just go to a farm and do gardening. Get your hands dirty, put your hands into Mother Earth and feel the feelings of this beautiful mother who's supporting us with all the food and medicine and clothing, and everything is getting provided. We have to develop that sense of gratitude and sense of service to give back to this society, this world that has given back to us. And this helps us to become more empathetic beings. When you go out there, you see the suffering out there, and then you are able to count your blessings. You're able to see that I am so fortunate I have been blessed with so much that, some people can't even imagine. We are part of such a small percentage, we are on this call here to have a laptop, to have internet, to have the ability to even comprehend and understand what is being told is a big blessing. Do we realize this? Right? So we need to get into community service, small acts of service. What can you do? Can you, at least, if you can't do anything, can you treat people kindly? Smile to the people who work for you. Can you smile and say, good morning, how are you? Have you eaten your food, or have you had tea? Just few words of kindness is also community service. You don't have to spend lakhs of rupees and spend money and this and that. Okay. So these are some of the things out of the many, many more things that are there, but these are some simple things that we can follow, we can bring into our, daily life. So friends, I'm at the end of my presentation right now. And if there is anything that you would like to ask me, I am more than happy to now answer your questions and listen to you.
Ma'am, first of all, great session. I'll not take one thing, I'll take multiple things because most of them associate with me, with my experiences, what I had in the past and having right now. And I don't know about the future, none of us know about it. But the only thing related to mindfulness, I would like to say that one of my, closest friends told me one thing, that our mind is like a juicer, mixer, grinder. You put rotten fruits, you'll get a rotten juice. You put fresh fruits, you'll get fresh juice.
Yes.
So it's the way how we process our thoughts, how we input our thoughts, that's how the output will come out to us. So I think very well lesson learned, for us, and we still practice mindfulness. So I would like to thank you, and thank you, Prija ma'am, for always arranging such thought-provoking sessions for all of us. Very emotional that this is the last episode, but I think it's a really, really great experience being a part of this platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. What you said was true, Michelle. So, satsang, in our Indian culture, we talk about satsang. What is satsang? Satsang is not sitting and doing bhajan kirtan. Satsang is, what is my environment like? Is my environment supporting where I want to go? Choosing the right kind of inputs and people and experiences and actions in your life. That is satsang. And it is your utmost duty to make sure that you have satsang in your life, because your biggest duty to this society is to become the best version of yourself, because you're meant to give back to this world. And that can happen only when you take care of the kind of environment. What kind of environment am I thriving in? What am I consuming? Consumption is not only through food and water, it is also through listening, to sight, through sensations. What am I consuming? So very good point. That juicer mixer grinder thing is a good example. Thank you for sharing with us, Michelle.
Pleasure, ma'am. Thank you so much for enlightening all of us.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. This is Soumya.
Hi,
I have
Soumya.
a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So, as you said that we should, not assume things, and we should not take everything personally. We should not take everything to our heart. But I have a habit I want to share openly in this forum, that if I'm right, or if I feel I'm right, I feel like going back and trying to explain myself, at times arguing also. So I don't know how to practice it. So I would want to understand from you, like, how do we not give all ears to everything which is around us?
Correct. So see, Soumya, like we just saw in the presentation, that who we are today is the result of certain experiences that we have had, because of which you feel that something is right in this way. See, unless it is a mathematical question where the answer has to be just one, it cannot differ. Everything else is very relative in this world. The way we perceive things or the way we understand things. So a person who has gone through different experiences in life, for example, let me just tell you, there is this program that Prija ma'am knows this, that I used to run this program called the Enneagram when I was working with the corporates. And the Enneagram talks about these broadly classified 9 kinds of personalities, which when broken down give rise to 1,944 variations of these 9 personalities. Okay. So there are 1,944 ways of looking at the same situation there. Because out of those 9 people, one particular person is a person for whom perfection is important. Okay, they are perfectionists. For them, a line cannot be even little tilted. It has to be perfect. Things have to be straight. They have to be kept in an order. For them, that is important. But there is another category called the skeptical. For them, safety and security is most important. For them, perfection is okay, but wherever they go, they'll keep on closing the doors and windows, this, that, and all. For them, it's okay if little up and down, but then safety is important. For someone, achievement is important. Nothing else matters. I have to finish my goal on this date. So I'm just saying that a situation could be the same, but the needs of each person is different. That is why your idea about that, your perception of that event could be something that is fulfilling your need, but maybe it is not fulfilling the need of that person. So that person has a different perspective, right? So the ability to put yourself, this is a very popular exercise in NLP also, that there is these different shoes that you put on to see the same situation from different perspectives, right? So the next time you are heading into an argument, see, in an argument, sometimes it leaves you with unpleasant feelings and sensations. And that is not the intention, right? Here, the idea is to communicate our views, to have a dialogue and to learn from each other. That is the basic intent of communication, not to prove something, right? So it would be curious. So next time you have a difference of opinion, you say that, yeah, you may be right. And I allow yourself to hold, I allow you to hold your thought, and I allow myself to hold my perception. You're allowed to have your perception. It is not compulsory that everybody agrees on everything, right? So my teacher, he has this very beautiful way of saying, I allow the whole world to judge me. When you give that freedom to people that you judge me, what you have done, you've taken out that tension from you, right? That, oh, they shouldn't think of me like that. They shouldn't say that. They shouldn't say that. Yeah, I have this view. This is my view. You have your view. There are a million views, see, like what we said, the way your brain is processing information at such a fast rate, the possibilities are more than the number of atoms in this universe, right? So it is quite natural for two people to have difference of opinion, and it is okay for you all to let each other have that difference of opinion, right? I don't know if that answers your question, but
Of course, it was pretty helpful. I'm gonna practice it.
yeah.
It will take some time for sure, but I'll remember everything.
Yes, correct. And the thing is to consciously remember it. Give yourself inputs, put up sticky notes here and there, so that your prefrontal cortex is noticing that you intend to develop this habit, and then with repetitiveness, it happens. Then you will be aware enough not to jump to judgment.
Sure, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
you. Yeah.
I had a query.
Yes.
Dr. Padmaja. You mentioned about 2 points. One was how the prefrontal cortex that sort of deciphers and analyzes the conscious and the unconscious memories. Okay, there are unconscious memories which sort of come to light, unpleasant unconscious memories that come to light. And we are aware now that it is because of that certain things are not going the way they should. Okay, you're aware of it. Then how does one sort of come to terms with it?
You can actually reprogram it. That is the whole idea of becoming aware. Awareness is the key. It is the first step to everything.
Yes.
If you're realizing that having that thought or that belief in your mind is creating suffering or unpleasantness in your life, then it is possible for you to change it so that you are entitled, you are deserving of a pleasant life.
I have noticed that sometimes that sort of lingers. And that sort of eats into the person.
Correct. And that is because of your limbic system, the primitive brain, that is the amygdala, which is all the time ready to scream, fire, come, let's fight the fire all the time. That is there. So what has happened is right now, that is more powerful than your upper brain, higher brain. And the whole practice now is to reverse that and to make your higher brain more strong, so that it is able to, you saw the when you make your prefrontal cortex strong, it has the ability to soothe the amygdala, to quell it down, to make it quiet. Yeah, this need to be agitated or on high alert all the time will reduce with the practice of mindfulness or breathing practices, breathwork practices, journaling, therapy, talking to someone, doing inner child therapy. In fact, I would suggest that every human being should go through inner child therapy. Even however beautiful childhood yours might have been, I still suggest that it is a very beautiful cleansing process for you to reconnect with your childhood self and to bring out the playfulness in you, no matter how old you are. And that changes everything.
And this 5 agreements, is it in that order?
Yes,
Okay.
and no, it's okay. You don't have to. There is no order in the book. He has written it in this order, but
Okay.
it's not compulsory for you to follow the order. These are basic values that you apply in your life
Okay.
wherever you are. Yeah.
They're all, sort of
Yes.
equally important in that.
Yes, yes.
Not
No.
no
All are
hierarchy.
equally important. All are equally important. Yes.
Very interesting session, and fortunate to have been here today.
I'm so glad you feel that way. Thank you. Thank you for staying through the session. Thank you.
Okay, I think it was a gripping session. I should mention this. The last session remains to be a gripping session and fabulous. A lot of things to learn. But here I'm a little emotional because I have to close the session this Sunday, and 36th session being the last session on Sunday evening. Every Sunday evening, we look forward to meet a guest, talk to the guest, and introduce the guest to this wonderful participants. Now, I think from next Sunday, we wouldn't have this. But yes, I assure you that we would come back with something else. We would have a last session on 31st of December at 5 o'clock by yet another speaker. That would definitely be the last session for the Positivity Pill series. But before I close, my deep gratitude to Padmaja for being here for the second time and delivering a wonderful session, which was much needed. Now, there is no artificial conversation here. There is absolutely no artificial cliches and phrases to use, but then it's from my heart when I say that very few people take initiative to, start such kind of programs. Okay, when you have a maiden venture, people ask you 100 million questions. Yeah, how, what, why? And I might not have an answer. But for me, Padmaja is very special because of the simple reason. I just had this idea of starting Positivity Pill, and then I just picked my phone and talked to her, and she said, why not get it going? And we started it on the same Sunday. So this is how everything starts in the world. As she rightly said, the thought process, how you activate your thought process and get it going, put it into action and get it going. And for that, you need like-minded people, and you need that energy, the energy, the positive energy, which is so very important and which is so genuine. It, as she said, you rejoice at the happiness of others, you rejoice at the success of others, and only such people can bring positivity. And all thanks to you for making my series a grand success. In deep gratitude, Padmaja. More power to you. Absolutely.
No, thank you. And you've done all the work, and you're the person who's run it. And I feel grateful
okay.
that you included me on this journey, and it's
my
been
pleasure.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you
pleasure.
so much for this opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to thank all the speakers, every single speaker who was here on this forum, who has, contributed their time, energy, and knowledge, by introducing beautiful concepts, which was definitely useful for all of us. And in deep gratitude to every single guest speaker of Positivity Pill series, right from day one to the last session. So with these words, we come to a close of the session. Yes, the session has definitely exceeded the time, but I wouldn't say that it was like eating away somebody's time. It was more of, Jaswinder, you have a question. I can see that you have raised your hands.
Yeah, sorry, I know it's too late to
No
ask,
problem. No, you can. I will not stop you.
But yes, actually, ma'am, just wanted to share little things which is going around with me nowadays, because as you said, there are certain circumstances which has happened in the past, and a lot of things comes in the brain. So I was thinking maybe I am not able to take a decision, or if I becomes anxious sometimes. I feel I don't sometimes feel what to do. If I do this will happen. A lot of thoughts keep on going inside my mind. As you said, there are certain things which keep on coming inside. A lot of thoughts will keep in your mind. So is it like the chemical secretions which is happening inside the brain? Is that the reason? Or is it like because we keep on thinking so much and again, the meditation is one thing wherein if we take it in our lives so that life becomes smooth. So what is the exact reason of that? Or is it genetically? Because I know my parents also, they also have such kind of fears wherein they don't want to get into certain things wherein they know, if we'll do this can happen. So better we will not take this way. That kind of tendency. So does this happen because it is genetically or because the situation which has happened in the past and they know like, if we do this can happen. So we'll try to avoid such things. And because of that, I'm not able to take the decisions.
Okay, by the way, Padmaja, I just want to tell you that Jaswinder is talking to you from Dubai at this moment. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the question, Jaswinder. And thank you for staying through the session. And, I spoke to you about the 60 to 70,000 thoughts that we have in a day, right? So that is the normal state of mind. And we are programmed to be in this completely fluctuating state all the time, moving past to future, because we expect what has happened in our past to repeat itself. Like, I said, you have more than 1 billion neurons in your brain, and these neurons, they form clusters, right? And these clusters are associated with different kinds of emotions or experiences. So when a particular situation is presented in front of you, immediately that cluster is activated in your brain. And then what you did at that time is brought to your awareness, and then you react in the same way. You keep going back to your old way or expecting the same thing to keep on happening over and over again. That one, it is already there in your memory. Second thing is, see, who we are today is not just your mother and father. There are some generations of ancestors who are living in your DNA even now. You don't only inherit their complexion and their nose and their height and everything, you also get all the shit that they were not able to resolve. Sorry for the bad word, but I'm just saying that all their unresolved problems, their unresolved unmet needs have come down to us in the DNA. And even see, like, diseases, they call it as genetic, but I do believe that there is no disease that cannot be cured. I personally, because I myself am a living example of having had a degenerative disease, which there are no traces of which in my body. I think that was the first time in my life I realized that, yes, there is something called resilience in me. And that actually helped me to build more resilience, to not give up. The doctor said that I only had 10 years to live, but then it has been 22 years since I was diagnosed with that, and there's no trace of it. See, so what I'm saying is that our genetic encoding also brings with it certain things. Like, for example, sometimes we are not even aware of, why do I have fear of heights? If I ask you, have you fallen from a height? You will say, no, I've never fallen from a height, but still I'm fearful of heights, right? Or why am I afraid of darkness? Or why am I claustrophobia? So many people are afraid of getting into the lift because they feel trapped and confined. These are all memories that you're carrying in your cellular memory, either from your genetic ancestral memory or something that you've seen around you, or they could be memories, implicit memories of when you were a very small child, when you still didn't have the ability to make meaning. Because in the toddler stage is when your brain starts making meaning out of situations, because it has started learning language and all of that, right? So that is the reason that you have got used to reacting to situations in a way that you have seen the people around you reacting. And that has become your way of responding to your to life around you. So now, first of all, the first step is awareness, that you have now become aware that I'm struggling because of this. I don't want to be like this anymore. That is the first step. Some people are unconscious even to that. They are unconscious that life is unpleasant. I need to change. This is not how I want to live my life. I would like to live it in this way. That awareness itself is not there. And it does, because of that, I'm not judging them or anything, because it has to arise from within for you to want that to happen. That awareness to come and that stage to come is all part and process of our evolution, right? So you have come to that stage where you are realizing that I'm not interested in continuing my experience in this way. I want to change it. That itself will now help you develop the ability to do the things that need for you to build awareness in your life, right? So you don't have to worry that just because your parents are reacting in a particular way or you have seen them reacting doesn't mean that you will continue to do so all your life. It is possible for you to shift it with mindfulness practices, journaling. I think journaling is one of the most beautiful practices. Start journaling everything. You keep an account of your daily activities, and then before you go to bed, just review those activities and see what went well and what didn't go well. And on what didn't go well, go back to that situation and now show your brain what could I have done in a better way in this situation. So this is a small step to reprogram you. What you're doing is you're reframing that event in your mind. I'll tell you one thing. What you think about before you go to bed, last thing in the night, is a very, very important aspect. It's very powerful. It impacts your memory in a very powerful way because your brain is all the time saying, give me some work to do. And what is the activity that you have done just before you've gone to bed is what your brain will keep working on through the night. So just before you go to bed, if you reframe those situations of the day, which you didn't like, but you reframe them in a way that you would have wanted it to go, and then you give that to the mind that in future I would choose to respond in this manner. This is an input you're teaching your brain. It's like you're holding your brain by its finger and guiding it. You know what, this is how I want to act, this is how I want to feel. These are small steps to reprogramming your brain. Okay, does that answer your question, Jasmine?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much for being here, all of you, and ensuring that you take this key learnings from different speakers on different topics. We have had so many things spoken by our esteemed guest speakers. They have invested time and energy to give the best to all of us at the Positivity Pill series. So I take this opportunity to thank every single guest speaker who was a part of the show, who have really enhanced the lives of so many people, who have created a lot of positive and pleasant memories for 2021. So let's hope and trust that we meet again with another program or at another project wherein we would have an opportunity to connect and carry this positive energy for a lifetime. So till we meet again on 31st, which is going to be a last session. We hope to close the Sunday session. And thank you so much for being here. Wishing you all great health, happiness, and prosperity. This is Prija Sridhar signing off on behalf of Positivity Pill series. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prija. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.